Alrighty. I'm going to minimize this so that I'm not staring at myself, because that's going to make me nervous. If you didn't watch my last video, maybe wondering why I'm wearing headphones. The reason is because I'm nervous, and this is something I'm going to do, and so I'm not going to let being nervous stop myself. And I can hear my roommates moving around, which just kind of makes me even more nervous. So I have music playing in here so that I can feel a little more calm. You can't hear the music, and that's intended, but I may one day share what it is I'm listening to. So anyway, I am a week late. Last weekend was pretty busy for me, so I'm a little late, and I wish I had more to show for it, but I don't. So, but I do have a fun activity that I want to do to kick off the D&D Sampler. So to go ahead and get started, I do have one finish since my last video, which is this here. Can you see it? It's this cute little thing. Home is where the heart is. And I went and got this little clipboard thing and did it too. It had the clip that matches the thread, and so I thought that was cute. And this is a goodbye present for a friend who is moving, and so I tried to do all the places she lived. It's gonna suck if she lives in more places than that, but it is what it is. And so one thing I'm super proud of, I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Yeah. So I learned a hem stitch and learned how to make a fray. And I feel like it turned out pretty cute. I'm really proud of how even and pretty it is. The only thing is, like, in this top corner, there's a little bit of grunge. And that's mostly just because that's where I started and stopped. And I just wanted to be sure that it locked in a place really well. But otherwise, the fringes, I feel like, came out pretty good. And then I trimmed them up and made them neat so you could see a little bit. I was a little sad that it covers up this whole thing, because I thought that little metal piece would be add some cute texture, but it didn't. And so I'm gonna wrap this up and get that to the one thing I forgot to address is the camera's really close. That's because I'm using a different camera than I did last time. And that's specifically for the activity, and you'll understand why in a minute. So I have a whip. That's my only finish since the last video. My next one is a whip. I have thread all over the place. And it is this here. You can't really tell what it is. I'll put the design here. Can you see it? Okay. And so this is like the top of her leg. This is also supposed to be a gift. And I wanted it to be really tiny, but it doesn't look like it's going to fit in the hoop that I have, because this is only about a third of the way. It's going to come down another like 2 more inches, which I don't think is going to fit in here. But we'll see. This is doing 1/2 on an even weave. And I've been looking up how to do 1/1 on even weave, because you can't do the normal cross stitching type stuff because it goes under the threads. And so I'm gonna try to figure it out, because I think if I can do 1/1, it may work out better. We'll see. So yeah, I'm only about a third of the way through. It's a pretty simple thing that I made myself. The other thing that I'm excited about is my first nerdy sampler. So I've been trying to figure out what I want to do. Like, what do I want my niche to be? Because I'm not the type of person who's just gonna like stitch patterns forever and then just not know what to do with them. And so I really want to get in. I love the nerdy stitching patterns that people are coming up with. And everyone seems to love samplers. And So I decided, well, maybe I can start doing some nerdy samplers, because I do want to do samplers. They look fun. They just are normally not things I would find fun stitching. So I've started one. And it is a Star Wars sampler. We have our alphabet up here, some numbers, some little lightsabers. I have a starship. Some starships going to be down here, and then it's going to go down probably another. There's like 3 more panels that are about this size down here. And there's already so many mistakes. Not only did I make a mistake while stitching it, I made a mistake while designing it. And I feel so stupid. Like, how stupid do you have to be? All right, so I'm going to put this up here. Can you tell what the mistakes are? There's more than one. There's multiple. It's like 5. All right, I'll tell you. So I don't know my alphabet, and I swapped the W and the V. QRSTUWV. That was the first mistake I made, and that one I made while stitching it. Like, the pattern is correct, but I was stitching it, and I just, for some reason, just skipped right over the V and started stitching a W. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna own it. This is my own personal version. The first stitching of the pattern that I made, which I'm not gonna show the full pattern. You'll have to just check in next time to see what all down here is about. But I was just like, you know what? I'll just embrace it. Lean into your mistakes. Mistakes make us beautiful. But then I go ahead and I stitch it. I end up stitching all of this. I start the one too far over. So like, it's supposed to be centered. It's supposed to be like 3 over here. So this side already started. So I had to put this side off. And then, but it wasn't until it was like over here, because I was trying to line up the 9. And in my pattern, the 9 lines up with the Y. It lines up with the Y. I completely left off a Y. So not only are these backwards, but the Y is missing entirely. And so I posted it online and got some people's opinions, and they were like, oh, you have Y's all along the edge. And I was just like, yeah, I guess. Some people thought the V was a mistake, thinking that it was a U. I feel like they look different enough. I feel like that looks like a V. I don't know what I would have done different to make it more V. But yeah, that's the first mistake. The other mistake, among the other mistakes, so I've been doing this row by row, or at least that's how I started, doing row by row. And then I would do a letter, 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 letter. And what I was doing was I would stitch an A, and then I would stitch a little bit of the border with what was left over. And then I would get another piece, and I would stitch the B, and then stitch a little more of the border with the leftover, just so I'm using as much of the string as possible without traveling all over the place. And so I started with this, and I made this middle piece one too long. And you can tell it's one too long because over here, this lines up with the A, but over here, it's supposed to line up with the N, but it doesn't, because I made this border up here one too long. And so that impacts a variety of parts of the pattern. So here we start 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and then it ends in a 4. And then you have this little pattern here, which just kind of drops off there. Weird. So this will be eternally flawed in a variety of ways, and because of this side being one off, it's going to put everything down here a little bit off. So there will inevitably be more weirdness, particularly with stuff like this, where this is 4. But the idea is that maybe nobody will notice. Maybe you didn't notice any of that the first time you were looking at it. The last mistake that I made when I was stitching this here, oh my goodness. You can't, okay, well you can't really see it anyway, but I didn't cross one of the things in the rebel symbol. It's just the half. I didn't cross it. I don't know how I did that. I don't know why I did that, but I'm frustrating myself so much. However, by stitching it myself, I've improved the design a lot. And I think once I'm done, it'll be a nice little Star Wars sampler that I can share with people. Yeah. And so this is my current most favorite whip. This I'm working on, but I don't know that I'm gonna finish it. Only because it's still a little bigger than I wanted it. I really think I may try doing a 1/1 and figuring that out. I'm thinking if I do like cross by cross instead of doing like left and then right, if I do a complete the crosses as I go, maybe that'll work better. Maybe that'll work in anything. I don't know. But we'll figure it out. Alright. So that's all I have. I just have those 2 whips and then this. There are some other things that I don't really have to show. And that is the pillow that I wanted to make. So I'm going to have to hand sew everything. And so the pillow is intimidating me a little. So I have the fabric. I've been shopping around for a pillow, like, I don't know what they're called, like the inside of the pillow part, so that I wouldn't have to like sew the fabric myself. But they don't make them as small as I wanted, or at least I couldn't find them in the size that I wanted, which I wanted like the half pillow size. But we'll figure it out. I have all this stuff. I'm going to start on it. I don't know that I'll start on it before my next video, but it's there. I do have 2 more patterns because there is more that I want to start. I don't know. I'm finding it really hard to bounce between these 2. It's like I really only want to sit down and do one at a time. I don't like bouncing between them. And so like I've really just like I worked on this until the cross stitch was done, and then I started the sampler. And I started working on the design of the sampler while stitching this. And then once I was finished with the design of the sampler, I started stitching the sampler, the Star Wars sampler. And I don't know. I don't know how y'all stitch so many different patterns. But I did buy more because I do have more plans. And I wanted to try stitching on wood. So I don't know what these are called. But it's these little cross stitch style patterns. And I bought both of them mostly because I wanted to use this one as kind of like an inspiration for what I plan to do with this. Because once I figure this out, I want to stitch it entirely. And so I wanted to save this pattern for inspiration, but I don't think I'm going to stitch this pattern. I'm going to use the heart and put this pattern on the heart because I have another friend who's moving, and so this felt very Colorado to me. And so I think if I put the Colorado in the heart, it would look cute. So we'll see how those turn out. But then I'll just have a circle, and I may try this, but I think this is way too big for this pattern. We'll see. We'll see. I'll try to make it work. Yeah, that's all I really have. I'm losing everything. So I lost my thimble. I bought a thimble. I lost my thimble. I bought thread conditioner, which I kind of liked how it gave it some weight to the thread. I really liked it, but I lost it. I've lost half my needles. I've had to go back and buy like packs of needles. I'm losing them everywhere. I don't know where they are around here. But I stitch it a bunch of different places. I bring it to work and I stitch at lunch. I stitch at in my bed before bed. I stitch at my desk. So I stitch in my car. Not while I'm driving, obviously, but I stitch in a lot of different places. And so like keeping everything together has been really difficult. We'll see. I need to get organized. All right. Oh, the one thing I did like that I haven't lost yet, which I love, is this. So I didn't have any tiny scissors. Like I didn't have any scissors to like cut threads, and I was trying to use big scissors, and then I was using a knife for a little while, and I bought these from the Witchy Stitcher on Etsy. They were the Cathedral embroidery scissors, and I love them. I absolutely love them. I feel so fancy. And on this note, this makes me think, okay, so with this work, people recommended getting needle minders for this, so that I just don't, like, the needle's already gone from the end of the thread. I don't know where the needle went. It was poking through here, and it has fallen off. So people recommended needle minders. And I went to the store to buy some. They're not really my style, and I don't really want to just get a needle minder that I don't particularly like just so that I have one, because eventually I'm going to replace it with something that's more my style, my aesthetic. So I may just shop around online, preferably something nerdy and sewing related. We'll see. All right, so now I think that's all the progress. I think that's all the plans. I think that's all the finishes. So let's get to our activity. I want to start the D&D Sampler, but I didn't want to just make a D&D themed sampler. I wanted to get really into the D&D thing. D&D is all about dice rolling and letting the fate be determined by the dice. And so I thought, why not work that into our sampler? So I'm going to move the camera a little bit. You should still be able to hear me, but you're going to be looking at our little activity table here. All right, and so what we have here is dice, a dice box, and Volo's Guide to Monsters. Let's see if I can turn this off. I don't want it. I don't want it to continue. I can't change it while I'm here. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad, but I don't want it to continue to try to focus, because that may be painful to watch. But this is Volo's Guide to Monsters. And inside, it has a bunch of roll tables to create unique monsters for your campaign. And they have this for 9 different monsters. So I figured we can use all 9 monsters to create unique monsters specifically for this project. Sorry about that. I do want to do this live, so I'm going to reshoot all of it. But it was autofocusing, and I felt like that might make people dizzy or uncomfortable. So I've turned the autofocus off, so hopefully when I move the camera down, it'll stop doing it. Perfect. So it is no longer auto-focusing, so you can see everything I'm doing all in one shot without any additional cuts. So the first thing we're going to roll for is the body diameter. Or actually, let me tell you what. We're doing Beholder. This is a Beholder. He is upside down. There are many different types of Beholders. But basically, they are floating eyeballs. Floating eyeballs with a bunch of little tentacles, each with its own little eyeball at the end of it. The short description of the Beholder is that these are incredibly intelligent creatures who reproduce by dreaming of one another, which I find super interesting. Basically, when a beholder dreams of another beholder, its dreams manifest reality. And so the beholder that it's dreaming of becomes real. And that's how they reproduce, is through dreams, which I find incredibly fascinating. So anyway, back to the physical characteristics of the beholder that's going to be part of our pattern. The first thing we're going to roll for is body size. It ranges from 4 to 6 feet wide, which we'll figure out the math of what that means in a cross stitch later. I'll do that off camera. But we rolled 2d6. So I'm going to take 2d6. We're going to roll them. And that rolls a 7. For 7, this is 5 feet. So I'm going to open up a little notepad here. We rolled a 7. For the skin color, it ranges from brown to purple. We roll a d12. So we're going to put these back. We're going to roll a d12. And we rolled a 5. 5 is pinkish. Skin texture. This is things like pebbled, pitted, smooth, warty. And this we're going to roll a d10. So we're going to take a d10. And that rolled a 6, which is scaled. So far we have a average size beholder with pinkish skin and scales. Next up is the eye color, which is a d10 again. I don't know why I put that back. We're going to have to... So that's 0 on a d10 means 10. And so the eye color is metallic, and it says to roll a d6. So metallic red. 1 is red. So we're gonna have 10. 1 for the eye color. Next up is iris shape. So this is the little black part, or the colored part. The black part is your pupil. The colored part is your iris, right? So this is the iris shape. This is everything from circle, crescent, hourglass, keyhole. And it says to roll a d20. So we have a d20 here. And that's a 5. So it is a crescent eye shape. Next up is the eye size. All beholders have one big eye kind of in the center. And so we're going to roll 2d6 to determine that. So that's 9. It has a normal eye size. So that's going to take up probably a third of its body. The eye stalk texture is a d6. 1 smooth. 1, which is smooth. So it's going to have scaled pinkish skin with smooth stalks that come off of it. The eye stalk shape is a d4, which are these little triangle ones. You can't really see it without me turning it sideways. But as you can see, it rolled a 1. And so those are thick and short eye stalks. All right. The mouth shape and size, we roll a d6. which is a 5. So it is a normal sized mouth and a normal shaped mouth. And then the teeth is the final thing we do, which is a D10. And we got a 5, which is human-like. So the teeth are going to be human-like. They're not going to be sharp. They're not going to be like needles. They're not going to be like sharp double rows. Instead, it's going to be human-shaped. All right, so just to recap, and I'll put it on the screen up here, but we rolled a 7, so it is an average-sized beholder body. We rolled a 5 to give it pinkish skin. We rolled a 6, which I didn't write down, which makes it scaled, which means its skin texture is scaled. For its eye color, we have metallic red. For its iris shape, we have a crescent. For its eye size, it was normal. For its eye stalk texture was smooth. And its eye stalk shape was thick and short. And its mouth shape and size was normal. And then its teeth were human-like. All right. And so there we go. We've rolled our tables. That is going to be what I'm going to have to design within using those as kind of our parameters. We're going to design a beholder, and hopefully I'll at least have the design shown. Whether or not I start stitching it, I don't know. But we'll at least have the design ready by my next video, which should be in 2 weeks. Yeah, and this is what we'll do. For each monster that's going to be part of the sampler, we'll roll its different tables, and we'll decide to determine what it's going to be. And then once we have all of the designs for the monsters, we'll put them together into a fun sampler. So that gets me excited. I'm super excited about that. I don't know if you can tell. All right, so yeah, I think that's about all I have. Yeah, if y'all have any questions that y'all would like me to answer at the end of my videos, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will be happy to start answering some questions. Otherwise, I know. The one thing I wanted to do is the Can't Let It Go. Can't Let It Go. Part of the NPR Politics podcast does that at the end of every video, and I don't want to call it I Can't Let It Go. I still haven't figured out a Stitchy-related name for it yet. Can't stitch it in. I don't know. So, what I can't let go of is, Joanne was having a sale on DMC floss, and so I was very excited about that. Somebody shared it on Facebook, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy floss. So I went, I bought a bunch of floss. Floss I didn't need, but the colors I thought were pretty, stuff I want to use in designs for ideas that I have. But I buy it, I get home, and I realized none of this was on sale. It was all full price. Why did I pay full price for this stuff? It's supposed to be on sale. And I look it up on my phone, and I have the sales paper, and it was like, yes, the prices are too low to show, but they are on sale. And so I go back. And I don't like being that person, but I did buy like 50 different skeins of DMC. And the only reason I did it was because they were on sale. And so I get there and I'm just like, these are supposed to be on sale. This says it's supposed to be on sale. Like, what's the deal? And she just like takes my phone and scrolls it down. And there it says that the sale doesn't start until March like 5th. Oh. Or maybe it was the 3rd. March 3rd. Just like, ugh. Oh. I see. Well, I apologize. I will keep my DMC, and I will just come back for even more once it's on sale. So now I have this big bag, which you can probably hear crumpling. I have this big bag of DMC. That is just DMC I thought was pretty. Oh. I got this. I forgot to cover this. I got this. I started bobbing it all. And so I have a bag full that I'm going to put on bobbins. Put in here. That's a question I got for you. That's a question. Do you put more than one skein on a bobbin? Because some things, like black, I bought like 5 skeins because I feel like skeins, whatever they're called. I feel like I use it in every pattern I do, and especially this one. So something I forgot to talk about with this one is I'm doing 4/1. So there's actually 4 threads in all of this because I wanted it to be really chunky. I wanted it to kind of rise up off of the cloth. And so it's using a ton of black cloth. And so I bought like 5 of them, and I don't know what to do with the 4 that aren't on a bobbin. But I bought these little stickers to put on there. So there's like this little sticker with the DMC number on it. I also wrote it on the other side, but I bought the stickers, and I only have one number of each. And so I have these 4 black skeins that aren't on a bobbin, and I don't know what to do with them before they go on a bobbin. Like, I don't know. And so I thought about just ordering more sticker packs, but the sticker packs are like all the numbers, not just 310. And so what if I put 2 skeins on a bobbin? Does anyone do that? I mean, for the black, it's not that big a deal because I'll just end up putting them all here and they'll all be together and they'll all obviously be black. So I don't really need a number on those. But for some of these other colors that I do, these are all the ones that are going to be in patterns that I have. So I do have like 2 skeins of each of these. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try it and just see what happens. But anyway, I think I've rambled quite enough for one day. So thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have been a fountain of inspiration to me. And I've felt so much better lately in my own, like, just mental health and depression and whatnot. I felt so much better since I've started crafting and cross-stitching again. And I do plan to continue doing it on into the future. And I am very excited about this Dungeons & Dragons sampler. I cannot wait to start. I need to design it first, but I don't even have it designed, and I'm already so excited about stitching it. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. Goodbye. See y'all later.